Spare change can turn into serious life change. If you've ever tossed a quarter into a vending machine and wondered if you just spent your shot at early retirement, today's video is going to have you digging through every couch cushion you own. You're about to buy a stale gas station donut for 75 cents, and you hand over a Tennessee state quarter. That same little coin could be worth up to $1.5 million. Yeah, you heard me right. $1.5 million. That's more than most people's houses. And you just spent it on a powdered donut that tastes like regret. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what makes the 2002 Tennessee quarter so insanely valuable, how to spot one, and why collectors will pay a fortune for it. Stick around because by the end, you'll be itching to check your pocket change and maybe even your neighbors too. Alright, let's jump in before someone else finds your $1 million coiner. First, let's set the scene. In 2002, the U.S. Mint continued the 50-state quarters program. Each state got its own design, and Tennessee went all out with its musical heritage theme. The reverse of the coin has a trio of instruments, a fiddle, a trumpet, and a guitar, plus a banner reading musical heritage. At first glance, it's just another nice-looking quarter. But here's the twist: a very limited number of these coins were struck with certain minting errors that make them incredibly rare and valuable. Specifically, we're talking about the Philadelphia Mint mark, the little letter P right under the word Liberty. Most of these coins are worth a standard 25 cents. But a tiny batch came off the presses with ultra-high detail, flawless surfaces, and the kind of eye appeal that sends collectors into a frenzy. Some even have what's called a double die obverse, where the design is doubled from a misaligned die. And that's where the value skyrockets. Just to give you an idea, a pristine 2002 Tennessee quarter in MS69 condition, with those clear doubling errors and no scratches, sold for $1.5 million in a private auction. I don't know about you, but that's the kind of coin that could have me questioning every life choice I've made. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at my grandma's house. She had this giant old peanut butter jar filled with quarters. She said, "Go ahead, take some if you want." So I grabbed a handful, thinking I might get $10 in laundry money. I never bothered to look closely. A year later, I learned about these rare state quarters. I dug through that jar again only to find she'd given the rest to my cousin. To this day, I'm convinced my $1 million Tennessee quarter is sitting in his sock drawer next to his old baseball cards. First, look for the P Mint mark right under "In God We Trust." That tells you it was minted in Philadelphia. Second, check the overall condition. The highest value comes from coins that are in mint state, meaning no wear from circulation. You want a coin that looks like it just came off the press, shiny, crisp, and no scratches. Third, look for doubling on the letters, especially on United States of America, quarter dollar, and the instruments. You might need a magnifying glass for this. Doubling looks like a faint shadow or a second impression behind the main lettering. Fourth, if you really think you have a winner, you'll want to get it professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. A certified MS68 or MS69 grade is what pushes the value into the hundreds of thousands or even that $1.5 million territory. Collectors are willing to pay outrageous sums because these coins are a combination of rarity, historical significance, and eye appeal. Think about it: the Tennessee quarter celebrates the birthplace of country music, blues, and rock and roll. It's like holding a little piece of Americana in your hand. Add a rare error in perfect condition, and it becomes the holy grail for some collectors. Not to mention, the 50-state quarters program was one of the most popular coin series in U.S. history. That means more collectors hunting for these special pieces, driving up demand and, of course, the price point. They assume any old Tennessee quarter is valuable. Nope, most are still only worth 25 cents. It's the ones with the rare errors and top-grade condition that bring the big bucks. Point 2, people clean their coins thinking they'll look better. Please don't. Cleaning a coin destroys the original luster and can cut the value by 90% or more. Point 3, they sell their coins without proper authentication. Never sell a coin without having it graded by a reputable service. That little plastic slab and certification can be the difference between selling it for $10 and selling it for $1 million. Start with your change jar. You'd be amazed what slips into circulation. Ask friends and family if you can look through their spare change. Check estate sales and flea markets. Visit your local bank and get rolls of quarters. You can search them and redeposit the ones you don't want. It might sound like a long shot, but hey, someone has to find the next $1 million quarter. Why not you? The 2002 Tennessee quarter. A coin worth $1.5 million, all because of a tiny mint mark, an error, and some good old-fashioned luck. Before you run off to rummage through every pocket you own, remember this: success in coin hunting is part knowledge, part persistence, and a little bit of fate. Maybe you'll be the one to find the next big prize, and maybe you'll even have a better story than my peanut butter jar fiasco. If you enjoyed this video, learned something new, or just had a laugh at my expense, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'm sharing more tips, stories, and strategies to help you spot coins worth real money and maybe even build yourself a collection that could change your life. Drop a comment below if you've got a rare coin story of your own. I'd love to hear it. And don't forget to like this video so more folks can learn how a simple quarter could be the start of their millionaire story. Hey there, treasure hunters and curious coin lovers. Imagine this. You're digging through your change jar one evening, maybe searching for enough quarters to buy a late-night pizza. You pull out a shiny little coin minted in 1999. Looks ordinary, right? But hold up. That plain old Pennsylvania quarter you almost spent on a slice could be worth up to $1.6 million today. Yes, you heard me correctly. That's million with an M-I. In this video, we're going to uncover everything you need to know about this unbelievable coin, why collectors are paying sky-high prices, how to tell if your quarter is the jackpot version, and how you can cash in if you find one. Stick around, because I'm going to share a personal story about the time I almost lost a small fortune in my couch cushions. And trust me, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. So grab a cup of coffee, kick back, and let's dive into the hidden gold mine in your pocket change. Alright, let's start with the basics. The 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarter was part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program. If you're old enough, you probably remember those commercials telling you to collect them all, like some kind of Pokemon craze for adults. Over 349 million of these were struck in Philadelphia. That's the P mint mark you'll see on the coin. So how on earth can something so common be worth over $1 million? It all comes down to rare minting errors and pristine conditions. You see, some of these quarters were struck on the wrong metal planchet, the blank disc that becomes the coin, or had double strikes, off-center designs, or other mistakes. Collectors absolutely love these oddball errors. Combine that with a flawless grading from professional services like PCGS or NGC, and bingo, you've got $1 million coin on your hands. And now, you're probably thinking, okay, but has anyone actually paid that much? Oh yes. One particularly well-preserved example with a dramatic mint error was auctioned for a staggering $1.6 million. The bidding war was so intense you'd think they were fighting over a Picasso. That's because serious collectors will pay extraordinary premiums for the first year of issue coins with rare flaws. It's like owning the very first misprinted baseball card, or a limited edition sneaker that came out with the logo upside down. So, how do you spot the difference between a regular 25-cent piece and a life-changing chunk of metal? Let's break it down. At first, look for the P mint mark on the obverse side. That's the front with George Washington's profile. That means the image looks like it was stamped twice if the design is shifted noticeably, if the coin looks copper on one side, if it feels lighter or heavier than a normal quarter. If you see any of these, don't toss it back in your change jar. Get it authenticated immediately by a reputable grading service. I promised you a personal story, so here goes. A few years ago, I was helping my dad clean out the garage. He had this giant pickle jar full of coins, probably 20 pounds of quarters, nickels, and pennies. We were about to haul it all to the Coinstar machine at the grocery store, but before we did, I decided to take a closer look. And wouldn't you know it, there it was, a 1999 Pennsylvania quarter with a weird copper streak running along the rim. I thought, must be dirty. I nearly tossed it aside, but something told me to hold on. Turns out, it was missing part of its clad layer, making it a rare mint error. I sent it in to be graded, and it came back at MS65. While it wasn't worth $1 million, it sold for over $3,000 at auction. Not bad for a quarter that almost ended up paying for a few bags of potato chips. Some folks collect coins because it's a hobby that connects them to history. Others do it because they love the thrill of the hunt. And then there are those who are in it purely for the potential payoff. When you hear that a single quarter might be worth a small fortune, it's hard not to get excited. Imagine finding enough valuable coins to pay off your car loan, your mortgage, or that dream vacation you keep putting off. If you think you've struck gold with your quarter, here are a few pro tips. Use cotton gloves to handle the coin. Oils from your fingers can damage the surface. Store it in an airtight holder. Those cheap plastic sandwich bags won't cut it. Keep it away from moisture and direct sunlight, get it graded and authenticated as soon as possible. These steps can be the difference between a valuable collectible and a ruined coin. Since you're probably going to start rummaging through every coin you own after this video, here are a few more valuable quarters you might stumble upon. 2004 Wisconsin Extra Leaf Quarter. Worth up to $5,000,1970 Washington quarter struck on a Canadian quarter, worth over $35,000,1983 Washington quarter with double die reverse, worth several $1,000s. Keep an eye out. Your piggy bank might be a hidden treasure chest. Visit local banks and ask for rolls of quarters. Check estate sales, flea markets, and antique shops. Join a local coin club or online collector community. Buy lots of unsearched coin rolls online, but be cautious of scams. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Even seasoned collectors spend years hunting for the big score. If you find what you think is a rare 1999 Pennsylvania quarter, take clear photos of both sides, weigh it to see if it matches normal specifications, compare it to authenticated examples online, contact a reputable grading service or local dealer. Never rush to sell it before confirming its value. Knowledge is your best negotiating tool. The 1999 Pennsylvania quarter may look like every other quarter in your pocket, but certain rare versions have fetched up to $1.6 million. By learning how to identify mint errors, preserving your coins properly, and taking time to authenticate them, you could transform a 25-cent piece into a life-changing payday. And if nothing else, you've got a pretty cool story to tell next time someone tries to pay you back with a handful of quarters. Before you head off to search your couch cushions, here's one last thing. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips about coins that could make you rich, strategies to sell your collection, and insider stories from the world of numismatics, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You never know when your next great find will come along, and I'll be here to help you spot it. Hey there, fellow treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts. You ever think that the little jingling quarter in your pocket might actually be worth more than your entire car? Or your mortgage? Or maybe even your mother-in-law's prize china set? Today, we're going to talk about the 1978 Washington quarter dollar coin, a simple coin that, believe it or not, has fetched an eye-watering $1.7 million in the current coin market. Yes, you heard me right, $1.7 million. That's enough to buy a house, a sports car, and still have plenty left over to fill your sock drawer with even more quarters. So grab your coffee, kick your feet up, and let's dig into why this particular coin is making collectors lose their minds and empty their wallets faster than you can say numismatics. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this quarter so special, how to spot one, and what strategies you can use to turn your spare change into serious cash. It's 1978. Jimmy Carter is president, gas is 63 cents a gallon, and everyone's watching Grease. Meanwhile, over at the Denver Mint, an unassuming batch of quarters is being stamped with a tiny D mint mark. Most of these coins ended up in pockets, payphones, and vending machines. But among them, a very small number were struck with exceptional quality, near-perfect details, and flawless surfaces, what collectors call mint state. The one that brought in $1.7 million was graded at an MS-68, which is an almost perfect coin. That's rarer than a polite argument on the internet. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly makes this quarter worth $1 million? Let's break it down. This particular 1978 quarter was preserved in such pristine condition that even the tiny details on George Washington's powdered wig are razor sharp. No scratches, no dings, not even a smudge from a thumbprint. Coins from the Denver Mint are usually better struck than their Philadelphia counterparts, but even so, finding one in nearly perfect shape is like finding a four-leaf clover on the moon. Experts estimate that fewer than a handful of these MS-68 specimens exist. Imagine owning one of only a few coins of this caliber in the entire world. That's why collectors will throw down 6 or 7 figures without batting an eye. Lately, rare coin auctions have been setting record after record. A new generation of collectors with deep pockets is driving up demand. When folks have money to burn, they'll spend it on rarity and history. And let's face it, there's something irresistible about holding a little piece of American heritage in your hand. Let's talk about identifying a valuable 1978 quarter in your own collection. Because hey, wouldn't it be nice to cash out one of these instead of digging through the couch for gas money? Hey there, coin hunters and treasure seekers, welcome back to the channel where we turn pocket change into pure gold. Today, I'm about to blow your mind with the story of a humble little coin that might just be sitting in your kitchen junk drawer or rattling around in your car cup holder as we speak. We're talking about the 1998 Washington quarter dollar coin. That's right. The same shiny little quarter you probably used to buy a gumball when you were a kid could be worth up to a jaw-dropping $1.8 million, but stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, why it's so valuable, and how you can make sure you don't accidentally spend a fortune next time you're at the gas station buying a soda. I'm also going to share a funny personal story about the time I nearly gave away a rare coin to pay for pizza. Yep, you heard me. Grab your favorite snack, get comfortable, and let's jump into the fascinating, sometimes ridiculous world of rare quarters. The Washington quarter dollar has been part of American life since 1932, when it was first minted to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Fast forward to 1998. The Denver Mint, which puts the little d under the date on your coins, was cranking out billions of quarters. Now here's the thing most folks don't realize: not all quarters are created equal. Some coins slip through with unusual errors, unique die varieties, or flawless mint conditions that collectors will pay an absolute fortune. 4.1 It was struck in a very high grade, meaning it's practically perfect. No nicks, no scratches, no pizza grease from your little cousin's sticky fingers. Point 2 There's a rare die variety, where the design details are extra crisp and slightly doubled in spots like the word Liberty or George Washington's ponytail. Point 3 It's extremely scarce in this flawless condition. Combine all that, and boom, suddenly, you're holding a little silver-colored disc that collectors are ready to fight over in an auction house. Let's break this down a little more so you can check your change. Turn the coin over to the front, right under the year 1998. You should see a small D. That means Denver Mint. Sorry, it's probably Philadelphia, and while still cool, it's not the $1 million superstar. Come on, it's not just for Sherlock Holmes. And look closely at the surface. A true high-grade 1998 D will have a mirror-like finish, almost like it was struck yesterday. No scratches, no dull spots, no weird smudges. Look for what's called a double die. That means certain parts of the design look like they have a slight shadow or doubling. It's like the coin had too much coffee before getting stamped. A genuine quarter weighs 5.67 grams. If yours is way off, it could be fake or, ironically, a different error worth even more. I have to tell you about the time I almost paid for a pepperoni pizza with what turned out to be a valuable coin. A few years back, I ordered delivery and realized I was out of cash, so I grabbed a handful of quarters from my dresser. The delivery guy was standing there tapping his foot while I fumbled around, counting out coins. I remember one quarter was so shiny it practically blinded me. I thought, hey, nice, this one looks brand new. I threw it in the stack and handed him the money. Later that night, I was scrolling online and read an article about the rare 1998 D Washington quarter. I called the pizza place, but the delivery driver was long gone, probably buying gas with my little treasure. Always double check your change before you spend it. You never know when you're about to drop $1 million quarter on a pepperoni pizza. 8 coins are graded on a scale called the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1, so ugly you wouldn't want to touch it, to 70, a pristine specimen that could bring a tear to a collector's eye. A regular 1998 D in circulated condition is worth 25 cents. A mint state example graded MS68 or higher can sell for thousands, tens of thousands, or in rare cases, over $1 million. In fact, in 2024, a certified MS68 plus 1998 D Washington quarter sold for $1.8 million at a major auction. Imagine the look on your spouse's face when you explain you just paid off the mortgage with a single coin. It's all about the thrill of owning something so rare that only a tiny handful exist in perfect shape. For them, it's not just a quarter, it's a little piece of American history. Don't clean it. Seriously, no soap, no toothpaste, no scrubbing with your shirt sleeve. Put it in a soft cloth or coin flip to keep it safe. Get it certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Once graded, you'll have an official record of its condition, and collectors will trust it's the real deal. Now let's have a little fun with a few common myths about valuable coins. Age helps, but condition and rarity are the real game changers. Sometimes, but sometimes they're just shiny because someone cleaned them, destroying their value. Truth, sometimes it takes an expert and a microscope to spot those tiny die errors that make the big bucks. So if you've got a 1998 D Washington quarter, treat it like you would a winning lottery ticket. Keep it safe, get it graded. And who knows, you might be the next person cashing in for $1.80 million. How a simple 1998 D Washington quarter dollar could be worth nearly $2 million. How to check for mint marks, die varieties, and pristine surfaces, and how not to pay for pizza with your retirement fund. If you've got a jar of coins hiding in your house, I encourage you to start digging. Your next big payday could be sitting right under your nose. If you found this video helpful, or at least entertaining, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a chance to learn about coins that could change your life. Tap the bell so you'll be first to know when I drop the next episode about hidden treasures in your pocket change. And if you have any funny stories about almost spending a rare coin, or if you've struck gold with one, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear it. extra vacation money, or in this case, enough cash to buy a ranch in Kentucky and name it after George Washington himself. Today, I'm about to share something that might just blow your socks right off your feet. So make sure you're sitting down, maybe even holding onto your chair, because the humble little 2001 Kentucky quarter you probably have rolling around in your car's cup holder could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.7 million. $1.7 million for a single quarter. So before you toss it into a vending machine for a stale bag of pretzels, let's dig into why this coin is so valuable, how to spot it, and what makes it so ridiculously special. And stick around, because I'm also going to tell you a personal story about the time I almost spent a rare coin on a gas station burrito, which, honestly, would have been the most expensive burrito in human history. Alright, grab your magnifying glasses, your sense of humor, and maybe a cup of coffee. Let's dive into the 2001 Kentucky quarter. Was part of the 50-state quarters program, which kicked off in 1999. Kentucky's design features the stately Federal Hill Mansion, which inspired the song My Old Kentucky Home. You'll also see a racehorse behind a fence, because, nothing says Kentucky like horses and big white fences. Millions and millions of these quarters were minted in Denver in 2001, so most of them are worth 25 cents, maybe a couple dollars if they're in mint condition. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of these coins were struck with extremely rare mint errors that make collectors go absolutely bananas. And one specific variety of the 2001 Kentucky quarter sold for a record $1.7 million in a private sale. You might be wondering, what the heck makes a quarter worth more than my house? Let's talk about that point. One of the main reasons certain coins skyrocket in value is something called a double die error. This happens when the die, the stamp that presses the design into the blank coin, shifts slightly between strikes. So imagine you're stamping your name onto a piece of bread, because why wouldn't you, and your hand jiggles a little. You end up with two blurry impressions. It creates a doubling effect, especially visible on the lettering or the horse's harness. Some collectors call it shadow text. With the 2001 Kentucky quarter, the most valuable versions have doubling on the word Kentucky, the date, and the motto E pluribus unum. That doubling makes collectors start foaming at the mouth. Another reason this coin is worth a fortune is the off-center strike. That means the design is stamped way off to one side, leaving part of the blank planchet exposed. Some of these are only 5% off-center, which is neat but not super rare. The $1 million ones are 50 to 60% off-center, basically looking like the horse tried to jump right off the coin. And now, here's the kicker. The record-setting $1.7 million example was not only an error coin, it was also graded MS68. MS stands for mint state, which is coin speak for basically flawless. To put that in perspective, imagine you buy a car in 2001 and 24 years later, it still smells like the showroom and not like old gym socks. That's the kind of condition we're talking about. Great question. The coin collecting world is all about rarity and condition. A one-of-a-kind error in perfect shape? That's the holy grail. Wealthy collectors see it as an investment, a piece of history, and bragging rights all rolled into one. That if you're already rummaging through your change jar, here's how you can tell if you hit the jackpot. First, look for the D mint mark on the right side of Washington's ponytail. That's Denver. And next, use a magnifying glass to look closely at all the letters. If you see any doubling, or if the image is shifted off-center, that's your first clue you may have something special. Finally, condition matters. If your coin has been through the car wash a few times, you probably won't be quitting your day job. But if it's in crisp, uncirculated condition, especially if you pulled it fresh from a roll, you're in business. Let me tell you about the time I almost blew it. A few years ago, I was driving cross-country. Somewhere in Nebraska, I pulled into a gas station to grab a burrito and a giant soda. I dug into my cup holder for quarters. I remember thinking, that horse on the back looks pretty fancy. But I was tired, hungry, and not exactly thinking about numismatics. So I handed over the quarter to the clerk. Right before he dropped it in the till, something made me say, "Wait, let me see that again." Sure enough, it was a 2001 Kentucky quarter, off-center by almost half an inch. My heart just about jumped into my throat. I swapped it out for another coin and stuffed it safely in my wallet. A month later, I got it authenticated, and while mine wasn't a $1 million specimen, it was still worth over $3,000. That's a lot of burritos. Always check your change, even if you're starving. Blobs of metal where a chunk of the die broke off, coins pressed without the collar that usually keeps them in shape. Any of these combined with mint state condition can make your quarter worth more than you ever imagined. Alright folks, if you've made it this far, Congratulations, you're officially smarter about Kentucky quarters than 99% of people on the planet. The 2001 D Kentucky quarter can be worth up to $1.7 million if it has rare errors and is in pristine condition. So next time you find one, don't toss it in the tip jar, take a closer look, who knows? You might be holding your ticket to financial freedom, all wrapped up in 25 cents worth of copper and nickel. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth real money, rare errors, and smart strategies to build your collection or your bank account, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It costs nothing, but you might just learn how to turn pocket change into life-changing cash. And if you have your own story about finding rare coins in the wild, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it, and I'm sure everyone else would too. Thanks for watching, and remember, always check your change. You never know when your next $1 million quarter is waiting for you. Where we dig through pockets, piggy banks, and that old coffee can in the garage to find coins that can literally change your life. You're out grabbing a cup of coffee, you pay cash, because you're old school cool, and the cashier hands you some change. You glance down, and there it is, a 1995p Kentucky $quarter coin. And now, you're probably thinking, big whoop, it's just a quarter. This little piece of metal might just be worth $1.8 million. Yes, you heard that right. 1.8 million, not 25 cents. So grab a comfy chair, maybe even that jar of loose change you keep promising to roll up, and stick around. Today, we're going to break down why this humble quarter is making headlines, what makes it so valuable, and how you might have one lurking in your own collection. By the end of this video, you'll be checking under couch cushions like a detective on a mission. First off, let's talk about what exactly a 1995p Kentucky $quarter is. Now, I know someone out there is already typing in the comments, there was no Kentucky State quarter in 1995, those came out in 2001. In the mid-90s, there were test strikes and special issues prepared by the U.S. Mint as part of pre-production trials. Some of these coins were never intended for circulation, but a few examples slipped out into the wild. Among them were experimental Kentucky-themed reverses struck with 1995 obverse dies and the Philadelphia P Mint Mark .1 mintage rarity. This was never supposed to happen. Fewer than a handful of these coins have ever surfaced. We're talking single digits. 2 condition. The known examples are in excellent shape, uncirculated, crisp details, and surfaces that would make any collector weak in the knees. 3 historical quirk. Numismatists, fancy word for coin geeks, love coins with a backstory. A coin that's part prototype, part accident, and part mystery is the Holy Grail. Yep. The most recent verified auction sale of a certified 1995p Kentucky $quarter topped out at $1.8 million. And before you say, no way anybody paid that, let me tell you, there are wealthy collectors who'd rather own a unicorn coin than a Ferrari. About 5 years ago, I was at my uncle's place. He's a bit of a pack rat, you know the type, boxes everywhere, stacks of old magazines, an entire drawer dedicated to remote controls for TVs he no longer owns. He handed me a small tin that rattled when I picked it up. Take a look, see if any of these are worth anything, he said. At the time, I didn't know much, so I sifted through coins half-heartedly, mostly pennies and nickels, a few quarters so worn you could barely see Washington's face. Fast forward to last year when I got deep into coin collecting, I remembered that tin. I called him up and asked if he still had it. He said, sure, it's holding up a wobbly table leg, no 1995p Kentucky $quarter, but there was a 1970s small date penny worth a few grand. That was the day I learned you never dismiss any coin without checking first. So, if you think it's impossible you'd ever find something this rare, think again. These oddities can pop up in estate sales, inherited collections, and even as pocket change from someone who doesn't know better. Alright, let's talk how to spot one if you're lucky enough to come across one. Kentucky-themed imagery, a horse, a Federal Hill mansion, a banner reading, "My Old Kentucky Home." If you see that combo on a 1995 $quarter, don't spend it. Most known examples are uncirculated. Standard quarter specs, 5.67 grams, reeded edge. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to check the mint mark and design details. Weigh it on a precise scale. That if you think you have one, do not clean it. Cleaning can drop the value faster than dropping the coin itself. Get it certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. There are reports of counterfeit versions floating around on online marketplaces. Shady sellers try to pass off altered coins to unsuspecting buyers. So if you're considering purchasing one, buy only through reputable auction houses or established dealers. If your brain's starting to smoke from all this info, you're not alone. I once spent a whole night comparing mint marks under a microscope, and I'm pretty sure my neighbors thought I'd gone full conspiracy theorist. Coin collecting doesn't have to be intimidating. You don't need a PhD in numismatics to get started. You just need curiosity, a good reference guide, and maybe a little luck. 1995p Kentucky $quarter coins are crazy rare prototypes. They have fetched $1.8 million at auction. Always look for that unique combination of date, mint mark, and reverse design. Get professional help authenticating anything suspicious. Keep an open mind. Amazing finds happen when you least expect it. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with this thought. We live in a time when people scroll past things without even looking. That old change in the cup holder, the jar of coins you've been ignoring, they could be holding a secret fortune. Don't underestimate the power of paying attention. Maybe you'll never find a 1995p Kentucky $quarter worth $1.8 million, but even if you discover a coin worth a few $100, that's a win. Ever since I learned about this quarter, I can't help but smile every time I get change. There's something thrilling about knowing a little piece of history, and maybe even a life-changing payday, could be hiding in plain sight. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot more coin hunting adventures coming up, tips, stories, and strategies to help you turn pocket change into big money. And hey, share this video with a friend who always says, coins are boring. Let's prove them wrong together. Where your spare change could actually be the golden ticket to $1 million. No, I'm not talking about lottery tickets or buried treasure. I'm talking about the humble Washington quarter. You know the one, the silver-colored coin you probably used to feed a parking meter or buy a soda back in the day. But today, we're going to uncover how a 1972 no-mint mark Washington quarter could be worth up to a staggering $1 million. That's right, a single quarter that might be rolling around in your old jar of coins could buy you a luxury car, pay off your mortgage, or fund a dream vacation around the world. So grab that coffee, kick back, and hang with me. Because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what to look for, how to tell if your coin is special, and maybe even how to cash in on that life-changing find. And trust me, you don't want to miss this, because if you do, you might walk right past a fortune hiding in plain sight. Alright, let's dive into the wonderful world of Washington quarters. First, a little background. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. The obverse, that's the fancy word for front, shows his iconic profile, and the reverse, the back, features the majestic bald eagle. By 1972, these coins were being minted by the billions. Most were produced either in Philadelphia or Denver. The Denver coins have a little D mint mark, the San Francisco coins have an S, and the Philadelphia coins typically didn't have any mint mark at all. Now, you're probably thinking, if there are billions of these things, why on earth would one be worth $1 million? In most cases, a 1972 no-mint mark quarter is just worth 25 cents, maybe a bit more if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition. But once in a while, a rare error or a unique feature turns an ordinary coin into a numismatic superstar. Some 1972 quarters were struck on planchets intended for other coins, like the 40% silver planchets left over from 1970 proof sets. These errors are incredibly scarce, and collectors will pay top dollar for them. Look closely at "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." If the letters look doubled or shadowed, you could be holding a double die error, one of the most prized mistakes in coin collecting. Coins that have never circulated and have been perfectly preserved in a collector's vault or a mint set can fetch astronomical sums at auction. Occasionally, a coin comes up for sale with a story. Maybe it was part of a famous collection or discovered in a bank bag after decades in storage. A combination of these factors, a dramatic error, pristine condition, and documented provenance, is what pushes the price up to that magical $1 million mark. Now, don't rush to the couch cushions just yet. Let's walk step by step through how to check your 1972 quarter. Check for silver content. A clad coin has a copper stripe along the edge. A solid silver planchet will be silver all the way through. We'll look for doubling in the letters and date. A standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. A silver planchet weighs closer to 6.25 grams. Get a digital scale to be precise. Coins in mint condition have a brilliant shine and no scratches or wear. Let me tell you a quick story that proves these things turn up in the most unexpected places. About 5 years ago, I was helping my uncle clean out his garage. He had this old Folgers coffee can full of coins. You know the kind, rusty lid, dust everywhere. Probably been sitting there since the Reagan administration. He said, "Take whatever you want, it's all junk." Well, being the curious sort, I started sorting through the quarters. Most were grimy bicentennials or 1980s pocket change, but there was this one 1972 quarter that looked oddly shiny. I didn't think much of it, but I put it in a little plastic flip just in case. Later that week, I took it to a local coin dealer. He weighed it, looked at it under a loupe, and practically started sweating. Turns out it was struck on a leftover silver planchet. He offered me $15,000 on the spot. I didn't sell. I sent it to be graded, and it eventually fetched over $40,000 at auction. It wasn't $1 million coin, but it was close enough to change my life. Never assume your old change is worthless. A circulated 1972 no mint mark quarter, 25 cents to $1 an uncirculated specimen, $5 to $25 a double die error, $250 to $1,000 depending on clarity. A silver planchet error, $15,000 to $100,000 plus a unique combination of errors in pristine condition with provenance, up to $1 million. This is why collectors obsess over every detail. Tips for selling your coin: never, ever polish or clean your coin. That destroys the value. Put it in a plastic holder or coin flip to protect it. A reputable coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade it. Major auction houses have global buyers willing to pay top dollar. Imagine the look on your spouse's face when you tell them you sold a 25-cent coin for $1 million. You spend how many hours going through those coffee cans? Well, I guess you were onto something after all. Next thing you know, they'll be the one dragging bags of change home from estate sales. Lately, collectible coins have been rising in value as more people discover the hobby. Between nostalgia, scarcity, and investment interest, demand has never been higher. So if you've been procrastinating checking that old jar of coins, now is the time. Alright, friends, let's wrap this up. The 1972 no mint mark Washington quarter might look ordinary, but in the right circumstances, it can be worth up to $1 million. Look for silver edges, double dies, and pristine condition. Never clean your coins, get them professionally evaluated, keep an eye on the auction market, and most importantly, don't underestimate the power of that spare change. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins that could change your life, strategies for spotting hidden treasures, and stories about people who struck it rich with pocket change, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you never miss an update. If you do find that $1 million quarter, drop me a comment and let me know. I'll be here, cheering you on from the sidelines and maybe kicking myself for not checking my own coffee cans more often.